Weekly. Coming to the room on a Sunday afternoon. NYO Weekly. Lowering the boom. Step into the room on a Sunday afternoon and it's NYO Weekly. Lowering the boom.
Make some noise for your host, Nico.
Lowering the boom.
Suave. Make some noise for the OG.
Lowering the boom.
950 Cav.
Lowering the boom.
And TJ Jones.
Lowering the boom. Step into the room on a Sunday afternoon and it's NYO Weekly. Lowering the boom. Step into the room on a Sunday afternoon and it's NYO Weekly. Lowering the boom.
What's up, people? What's going on? Welcome to NYO Weekly. Hope everyone is doing well out there. Hope everyone is good. What's up, 950?
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Resurrection Sunday for those who celebrate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Same to you, man.
No doubt. What's good, bro?
Not much, man. How you like yesterday?
21 straight. That's how you do it in the playoffs. You lock down and you make things happen. So again, like I said, great. I mean, overall, just great basketball. The association gotta be feeling really good. After kind of a lackluster season with down viewership. The playoffs, the play-in and the playoffs so far have been top notch. Obviously, Denver Clippers win the overtime. Classic game there. We just mentioned the Knicks. The Lakers and Minnesota, I mentioned on platforms we rock with that ain't gonna be no cakewalk. To think that Minnesota's gonna lay down. They have a bona fide superstar. And one thing we know about NBA basketball, you got a bona fide superstar. It's not many in the league. Ant-Man is in that conversation. He is bona fide NBA superstar. And when you got that around a bunch of solid role players, Julius Randle, McDaniels and that clique, you can win games. And when you shoot the way they shot last night, it's going to be hard to beat any team.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I got the little post-game clip. Hold on one second.
What message would you have to fans that are kind of seeing everyone picking the Lakers now and everything like that?
No message, man. They still got the Lakers. The Lakers supposed to win. That's just how it's supposed to go. We're not supposed to be here, so we're just going to compete to the best of our ability.
Hey, instead of getting on his high horse, like, look, we just playing. That's the best way to do it. Don't give no bulletin board material.
You're looking at a very confident individual who believes that he can be holding Larry O.B. in June. Again, not saying that's happening, but when you have the confidence that can happen, you're not worried about it. Again, I think the Lakers have some work to do. Again, the playoffs are a different animal, right? And obviously, Luka and LeBron are superstars in their own right, and Lakers have a solid supporting cast, but Minnesota can mix it up inside. They didn't even had to have a big game from Gobert. And I think that's going to be a problem for LA moving these playoffs. And I think, again, as I just mentioned, when you got a guy like Anthony Edwards that can, get a bucket at pretty much any time he wants, it really makes for a difficult situation for your opponent. So I'm sure LeBron and the Lakers will go back. It's funny. I was watching the game thinking about Shannon Sharp. I'm like, well, we can still use the 5, but that 5 don't sound so
convincing.
And I still think, again, like I mentioned, I still think the Lakers will win the series. But I picked 6, and I think I might have to move that to 7 because I don't see them winning 4 of the next 6.
No, it's looking that way. Like you say, it's gonna be one of them series where, like you say, he got They was just in a Western Conference Finals a year ago.
Right.
So why wouldn't this pretty much same team take away Cat, not have that same confidence, and then you added a guy like Julius Randle and DiVincenzo, and hey, they they ready to play.
And that team,
DiVincenzo got a chip on his shoulder from Knicks kind of let him go for Cad, so
mhm. And that
they got
team
a
over the last 20 games, they really got it together. They were a hot ball club coming into the
yeah.
playoffs. So,
Mhm.
again, it's, people look at the full body of work, or they're the 6th seed, and they had to win the last game to avoid the play-in. But
Yeah,
when you're hot, you're hot.
yeah.
And I think they
No,
got
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. So the game that happened before that one, I'm sure you're gonna like this one.
Yeah, went to the locker room and came out was like, man, did he like change his sneakers or something? Do you know why he went back there? I mean, he came back, he was a totally different guy.
I think he grabbed his cape.
So I mean, hey man, y'all came up big yesterday. 21 points in the fourth quarter. What went right for y'all yesterday?
Well, I think again, when you look at this game in the full totality, Detroit will kick themselves because they let one get away, right? When you get that type of production from from your role players, Harris and Beasley, and even Schroeder had a very good game.
Yeah.
When you get that type of production, you
Tim
got
Hardaway Jr. He was
Hardaway
productive.
had a solid game. Yeah, they pretty much had a solid performance. But again, that fourth quarter, and the key was the first play of the fourth quarter, they got a 5-second. The second play of the fourth quarter, they got a 24-second violation. And again, the greatness of Jalen Brunson, really still trying to figure his way out after the ankle injury. He kind of went down, had a couple of moments where it looked the ankle wasn't as strong, maybe taking some forced steps. I think obviously we all been in those positions where, you've come back from an injury and, you go down and it's more fear. It's not necessarily the injury, just like, oh my God, did I just do something? But once he got together, he really took off. Karl Anthony Towns had a very productive second half. And I think, again, he's got to show what he's about. You can't, just being all-stars and all NBAs is nice, but you got to win now. This is when legends are made. You're in the big city. You're back home. You got to win now. Campaign came out and had a great game. It's funny when you watch the game with the Knicks, when Campaign takes a shot, you almost hear like but he started hitting those shots. OG had a nice game. So I think, again, the Knicks got to feel good about themselves because they didn't play their best basketball. Certainly the fourth quarter with that 21 straight, putting clamps, making it difficult, that Garden crowd doing what it does. I think, again, it's a nice segue to the game too, but certainly you got things to improve on. It wasn't a Picasso performance. So I'm excited to see what the Knicks do tomorrow night, how they make their transitions. And I think, again, Detroit, a team that's probably figuring that, and the young team figuring they let one get away, how they respond coming in the game too.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Detroit, they just gotta sit in it and be like, look, you gotta win game 2 because you don't want to go back home being down 0-2.
Right.
Because then you're in the mode where you gotta force things because you're trying to get a lead or keep a lead or get the win. So it's gonna be interesting to see what game 2 look like. Is that tomorrow or y'all play
Tomorrow?
Tuesday?
I think tomorrow night is game 2 in that series. And again, you
Okay.
think about it, Detroit beat the Knicks 3-1 this year, right? And pretty much the last game we played the Pistons about a week and a half ago,
Yeah.
they pretty much laid the mantle to the Knicks. And I think, again, it's just a difference in playoff basketball. I think playoff basketball is different. Cade had he didn't have his best game, and you probably equate that to nerves. It's different,
Sure.
But again, they're still a very talented team and very formidable bunch to get the job done. I mean, Isaiah Stewart, I know he's their heart and soul, but he might as well have a hockey stick. I mean, all he's doing is running around and and beating people over the head with his forearms and pushing people. So I don't know what you get from that. They might have to make a decision on that. If I'm Bickerstaff, because while yes, he's still a very talented team, he brings the intensity. You're not getting anything offensively. Durant the same thing. He's got to score more points for them. They're very undersized in the front court as it is. So how do you necessarily equate? The Knicks played the Twin Towers. They played Towns and Robinson together, and I think that worked. That hadn't been done since Mitch came back, and that looked very good, especially against this team. They have, it allows Cat to go out and be the space five he likes to be, and you let Mitch do the dirty work inside. You know, obviously you lose a little something because you probably have to pull Bridges because they played OG one-on-one with against Cade. So, you know, offense, defense, you lock down your best defensive guy on their best offensive guy. You lose a little something with Bridges, but I like that standpoint for this series that I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna beat the crap out of you because we know Stewart's going to get fouls. So if that's the case, now I got your backup big man in foul trouble. What do you do then? So it looks good for the Knicks. And again, you know, coming into the series, people felt like Detroit styles make fights, and it still does. But again, the great coaches and Tibbs, while he has his issues and again, probably needs to win this series, is still a master matician when it comes to putting together the perfect setup. And that was perfect. That was genius yesterday, what they did.
No, I agree. It was a great, you know, hey, they did what they needed to do. But like, you know, if I'm Detroit, you know, I feel like you let one get away. So, you know, and you know, when it comes to the playoffs, you gotta capitalize on the other team's mistakes because, you know, it's gonna be hard to win that game too. You know, it's gonna be raucous. You know, I'm sure all of New York gonna be there again. And, you know, in hopes that, I mean, you may want a game 5, but you would prefer get them out the way. The more you let the series carry on, you know, it's going, you know, you can now put yourself in positions for people to get injured or anything. So the quicker y'all can get this over with.
I still think it's going to be a long series, Swab. Not to cut you off, but
no, I think so too.
Yeah, this thing still goes 6, maybe even 7. I just, like I said again, I don't see the Knicks winning 4 straight against anybody. But again, you take that if you get it. But certainly, I think it's going to at least take at least 6 games. I mean, I would love to see 5. I don't want to see in Game 7 because when you take Game 7 against a talent like a Cade Cunningham, even though he's young, you never know what can happen. So I think you get him out as soon as possible, but I don't see a 4-game sweep. But I believe the Knicks will win the series. I don't see them sweeping.
Right.
I don't even see the Shannon. I don't even see the Shannon 5. I don't even see that. Yeah. I think it's more of a 6-game series.
No, I get you though, because you know, like I say, it's tough, and you know they're a physical team, and like I say, people can get injured. You know, the more the series carries on, you know, I ain't got no dog in the fight, but.
Well, yeah, I know.
You know,
I've been in that. I've been in that boat many of years.
Yeah, man. Hey.
Many of years.
We waited to the game to get to the playoffs to lay an egg, but you know, hey, what do I know? I'm just a fanatic. So, but let me ask you this though, based on the games yesterday, what series do you think is the best? Which series you think will be the best based off all the games yesterday?
Well, you know what? Outside of Indy and Milwaukee, I think the rest of the games and the rest of the series from the games yesterday will be dynamic. I think that Denver Clippers series is going to be solid. And, you know, I went back and forth last week on that one because even though I think, you know, the Denver survived the game yesterday, that series is going to be tough. Again, the NBA, unlike any other sport, when you start breaking down, you know, your superstars to your role players, superstars to me in the NBA matter more than any sport because superstars can take you to the next level. Role players have games. Guys have great games, great moments. But your superstars are consistent. Your guys that you go to when you need a bucket, those are the guys you lean on. When you look at the Clippers, they got two bona fide guys. Same with Lee Denver, with Jokic and I guess Murray. But I think that's going to be a great series. I think the Lakers and Minnesota, I said that from the start in our other conversations, that would be a great series that's going to at least go 6 games, maybe now into 7. And certainly the Knicks and Pistons will be a long series. Again, it's a physical series. I think the officials start to get comfortable with the style of play because I don't think officials really want to be the ones that are involved with the decisions of these games. So like Knicks and Pistons will be a physical series. I think the Lakers series will start to ratchet up. You saw a little bit of that with Julius and you know, situation happened with him with, you know, getting the tech failure state. So I think the Lakers will ramp up their intensity next game. And I think Denver and the Clippers, when you talk about, you know, Jokic and that group. So I think, listen, it's great for us. We're fans of teams, but it's great for us as basketball fans first. Because I think you're going to have great playoff series. What's good, OG?
What's happening, people?
Hey, my question earlier. What do y'all need to do in game 2, man, to even this thing up?
Hope to God they don't shoot like that no more.
Yeah.
Basically. Because that's all it was. But like I've kept trying to tell people, defense wins championships. We couldn't stop a cold. We couldn't make a bucket. When they made that run in the second quarter, that was basically the ball game. And I don't see how people don't understand that. That's Laker fans. I really don't get it. You know, all those ever saying, "Oh, it's about to be 5 games." I'm like, bro, there's no way we doing 5. Shannon Sharp got y'all on some TikTok stuff, and y'all fell for it.
OKC, UFC, UFO, Lakers and 5.
Yeah, Lakers and 5. You know what I mean? ESPN. I'm like, come on, bro.
Listen, when they about ready to give you 100 stacks to do podcasts, I think you said that you want people going to listen. Right?
Yeah, I see. So, but yeah, I mean, they just got to get better at. There's a lot: defense, physicality. It need to be a group effort, making rebounds, going for rebounds, not just one person. You don't have that, so we'll see. You got to figure. You got to figure out how to finish in the paint.
I think also, listen, Minnesota shot the lights out. The chances of them doing that again in game 2 is probably not the case. And the way you guys shot, as bad as you guys shot, is probably not the case as well. So I think, again, it still bodes true for you guys. Like, obviously, we were talking last week in another room at another time. Yeah. My thing was, look, this is not going to be a cakewalk. I still think the Lakers will win the series. But it's just that obviously when you got a superstar like Edwards and then you got the role players that all play well and you shoot the lights out, you can't beat anybody. You can't beat the Globetrotters when it's fixed.
Right.
If the Boston Generals are shooting the lights out, you can't win the game. So I just think that obviously, look, you know, you'll go back and tweak. I don't think there's nothing to really stress or be overly worried about for Lakers. They just have to go out and make the adjustments. And I think they'll do that for game 2.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, it's not nothing major, but, you know, size matters and you don't have size. That's what she said. But you just don't have it in the But I'm just saying, when you don't have that size in the middle, especially in the paint in the playoffs where you rebound, every possession counts.
Yeah.
But like you said, you know, they can't shoot like that and we can't shoot like that. I get it. But they got one more game like that, especially when they go home. So we got to get game 2 and we got to split them. I know we talked, like you said, in a past time about it, but And we both said you cannot after 4 games be split, but they're going to be split after 4. They have to be. Because I don't see no other way. I mean, I don't see us going on a 3-game stretch where we just win 3 in a row.
Right.
Especially not the first game in Minnesota.
Yeah, I was telling Swab before you came in the room. I initially had him for 6, but I don't think y'all win 4 out of 6. So I think it's probably gonna go 7. And that, and again, and I think that's where when you bring in a Luka Doncic, you have a LeBron James for those Game 7 moments, because especially LeBron, he done seen it all. So I don't, again, like I said, I think from the big picture, I think you guys would be fine. Certainly it's not the way you want to start the playoffs, but you just have to make adjustments.
That's why it's a 7-game series, not the tournament, just 1 game. So
So I'm gonna ask you the same question, though. Based off the games yesterday, which series is the best? Based off game 1, which one do you think will be the best one?
So far, the Clippers and Denver.
I think so too. Yeah.
And since I know we said game 1, but today it will be the Rockets and Warriors. Those are and I've always said those are the 2. Those are the 2 that I think will be the most interesting. All the rest of them will be good. Don't get me wrong, especially my series. But if you're not a fan of either one of those 4 squads, I think those are the 2 series that you should watch. Because I just think, one, Clippers got something to prove. Denver has something to prove in their series. And on the other side, it's just 2 teams that just straight out don't like each other.
Yeah.
And I don't think no one on the East. I don't think anything on the East is anywhere close. I'm not knocking the East, but I don't think they have to get into a couple of games for them to start ratcheting it up. On the West, teams just don't like each other. They really don't like each other. So
it's definitely a disdain. But play a couple more sounds of yesterday's first round of the playoffs. Hold on.
He averaged 12 assists in April, 1 assist so far in this ball game. And he missed both.
You gotta love playoff basketball, man. and they just trolling my man. It's like, golly.
No, really, they're not trolling.
No, I mean you're not, but still. And then this what Mr. Brody had to say.
Yeah. My job is to, they have the dynamic roller with Zoo and great cutters and the guys that catch lobs, and my job is to be able to be the low man and find ways to, excuse my language.
Hey man, it's playoff season. You gotta love
it.
Man.
Yeah, it is playoff time.
Come on, Russ.
Come on, Russ.
Hey, he hit that 3 to send it to overtime. Overtime? Yeah. Did he send it to overtime? I know he hit it on. I think that was to send it into overtime. And then the Nuggets, pretty much had control after that. But, if I'm the Clippers, you gotta give Harden a little help, man.
I mean, you always should have, but what the world is seeing now from the Clippers is what the Clippers have always been in their history. So this is not nothing new, unfortunately, in the playoffs. Clippers get a lead and somehow, some way, give the game away. And they've been doing this for a while. And I thought that curse was gone, but apparently it's not. A lot of people jumped out leads in this playoffs, and they don't hold up. So that's another thing you might want to look at too. A lot of them have been like that.
What's funny? I was on my way home, doing some Easter running around, and I was listening to the Clippers game on the radio, and I was on the Denver feed, series. They had the Denver feed. And they, that last play of the regulation, they said, "What the hell is Russ doing?" And I was like, "Wow, everybody gets on Russ, but Russ makes the play in overtime, you know, really to help
I
the
think
Steelers.
he hit. Like I was telling. Oh, I think he hit the 3 to
Right.
send it into overtime, wide
Right.
open
Tie
in
the
the corner.
game. Right.
Yeah,
I'm like, you gotta give Russ a little credit. I think people still try to linger on that Skip Bayless stuff about Westbrook, but they gotta
and
give
being
him
a
credit,
vampire.
man. Russ is he's got his moments, but when he's also got good moments. And yesterday was good. Again, I have no dog in that fight either, but I'm rooting for Russ. I really am. To at least kind of like, show that, hey, he still got something left, man. Because I think people take cheap shots at him, and I don't think it's always warranted.
Oh, of course they do. Of course, he's an easy target.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy. Very,
he's
very
the easy target. He's the one always about to beat up somebody in the little walking from the locker room. Because people talk crazy to him, and it's like fam.
He wears it on his sleeve. He's
yeah. I mean, as a player, I guess that's good.
Right.
Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. But but with Russ, it just seems like he'll have a game like he had yesterday, perfect, and then he'll have another game where he'll blow the game, miss a layup, miss a shot, throw a pass away, and it's like, bro, which one are we getting? So I get it. Don't forget he was on my squad for a minute, so I get it. When he was the YMCA All-Stars, I get it. Yeah. So I get it, man. I get it.
So yeah, man. So the playoffs is real interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Real quick before I know I had a little technical difficulty, but I think O mentioned today's Golden State Houston game. I think that is going to be a fantastic game. Just for so many, again, Suave, since you don't have a dog in the fight, for people like
you didn't have to say that.
Just say it.
See how he snuck it in there? You didn't have to say that.
That's my journalistic chops that I have.
Okay.
But that's youth versus old. That's new guard versus old guard. New school, old school. I think I know people. It's easy to pick Golden State because of that, with the best shooting in the world. But you know what? And you guys know this. I'm a big fan of Udoka. Big fan of. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. And they've taken Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is what Stewart on Detroit needs to aspire to be, because Dylan Brooks is Dylan Brooks, but he's refined himself where he's still kind of like he walks around with a billy club too on the basketball court, but he's refined himself enough where guys that the team rallies behind him. He's become the older guy in the room, the leader.
How about Dylan?
Dylan, right.
Yeah.
And that team there, man, with that young talent, boy, if they can find a way to win in this series, watch out. And then
you got to think Udoka. The Warriors didn't let him get his first chip, so he got a bone to pick too. And then then the ceiling fell through. After we all know what happened. We all know what happened.
One of the coaches we don't talk about, but I just think that's gonna. I'm glad Houston's getting some national attention playing Golden State, because the world will get to see how good this young team is. I don't know if they'll win the series, but I think they'll put on a great show. I'm excited as a basketball fan, as a sports fan, to watch that without any rooting interest, just to watch good basketball.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I will take the under. I mean, I will take the over on technical fouls in that series.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just being honest, because like I said before, those two teams that just don't like each other, and when you don't like each other, then common sense goes out the window.
Yeah.
And that team leads the league in techs and ejections, and this is the playoffs. I'm just saying it's still gonna be a good series, but that would bother me as a fan of the Rockets. That would bother me right there. That's just that one problem. Because the playoffs, everything ratchets up, the intensity goes up, and if the intensity goes up, that means your attitude is going to go up as well.
It's true.
So if they keep that under control, that might be a 7-game series as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I can see 7. I can see 7.
Okay. All right. So my next question, or not even question, my next statement, come back again. He's on this high horse. And it's like, hey, brother, live your life. But, this is what he had to say to a reporter about the upcoming draft.
What position do you want to hear the commissioner say when he says Travis Hunter?
He better say wide receiver and DB. Got to.
So just wide receiver, DB, not athlete?
No, I need him to say wide receiver and DB.
What position do you want to?
He better, bruh. You like, come on, dog. I ain't saying, be a bootlicker or nothing like that, but he better. Come on, fam.
I don't think I hear what you're saying, Swab. And we gotta do a show, so we gotta talk about it. I don't think he meant any harm by that. I think Travis Hunter, to me, I mean, you're a little closer to 21 than I am. Was.
It's confidence. We get it.
Right. But I also think that it's just a situation where he's probably listen, the day and age we live in, everybody's got an opinion. The guy wants to play both ways. I know he also said last week, what I think is crazy. His wife will definitely, or his fiance will definitely get at him about trying to quit football.
Yeah.
I think she'll get at him on that one. But I just think that this is a young guy. I root for this kid, right? Because I see a young man that I think, again, is when you look at him in the big picture, totality of just him, the way I see it, I don't think always he has all the social skills, And I just think that he's a fantastic athlete, and he's somebody you can easily root for. He's not like Shedeur, where he's easy in front of the camera and he can make the camera dance and do all the stuff that a lot of these athletes are trained to do now on social media. He's just a football player. This kid wants to play ball, go home to his girl, get in his pajamas and play video games or go fish. And I think that's, to me, it's refreshing. That is an athlete that doesn't care about going to the club and popping bottles and having 2,500 babies. They just want to play their sport. So while I agree with you, the wording didn't come out right, but just if I'm watching that as a grown man, I'm like, he ain't mean no. I don't think Roger Goodell is looking at him like, oh, we got to teach him a lesson. I just think that, he's not comfortable in front of the camera. Even playing for Dion for 3 years, he's still not comfortable in the interview setting.
Yeah. Oh, what you got?
All I can say is don't put a target on your back before you get on the field. Please don't do that. Because now you're getting out there with grown men that you are kind of disrespecting and spitting in their face saying, oh, I'm going to play both sides of the ball. And I better play both sides of the ball. Okay. Be careful what you ask for. Because you're playing against grown men, like I said before, and they're gonna okay, you want to be a receiver, they're gonna hit you. You want to be a corner, they're gonna run you. So just be prepared. I love the confidence, but be prepared, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the adults in the room have to come help him, because I just think that he only knows what he knows, right? This is what he's done, right? And you guys are both right. OG, you hit it around the head. You talking about you playing with grown men with mortgages and got to pay for private school. They don't play that. So I get it, but I just think in his little bubble, this is just all he knows. Now, again, the world is bigger than just what he knows, and he's going to learn that very quick, whether he's ready for it or not. Reality comes in the morning. But I just think that, again, I don't think he's doing it with malice. Like, I don't think he's doing it with this strategic, like, how Baker Mayfield was, I don't think I don't think he's doing it that way. I just think he's just speaking open. Now, sometimes in media, you just can't speak openly. It's not good for business. But I think he will learn that. And again, because he's going to have to realize that when you're number 2, number 3 pick in the draft, there's going to be cameras and mics in your face every 10 seconds, maybe every 5 seconds. So you have no choice. You just can't go home and play ball and go home. You're not the 55th man on the roster. You're the new prize, shiny toy that's in the glass window. So I just think he's got to get better with that. But I didn't from this situation, I didn't take it as it was something of malice or like you better. I didn't get that. Me personally, I didn't get that.
Can I ask a question or add to what you're saying? Could it be that he's trying to be a salesman like Deion because he's been around him for 3 years, and it's just not his personality, and it's just not hitting the same?
It's possible he could be trying to. I'm sure Prime in that circle, I know he's down with Prime's management team. Well, he's got a different group, but I'm sure they've tried to help him, and I'm sure he's trying to pick up stuff. But it's just like me, right? My 14-year-old niece can create all type of pictures. I'm 3 times older than her, and all I can do is stick figures. Right. So no matter what she shows me, hey, Uncle Kevin, do this, do that, it still is a stick figure. So no matter what Prime and these guys can do, he's not comfortable. He hasn't embraced it. Because we're guys. You could see him even in that interview. He looked uncomfortable. He's saying stuff, but he don't look like he's in his element. So I just think that he's going to have no choice. But the team that gets him and his professional team is going to have to try to limit him as much as doing these interviews. And if they have interviews with people, have it where it's friendly fire. Go get Uncle Neely or something to do the interview. Somebody he knows and realizes that they're not going to try to trick him because he's just not comfortable. And that's not a negative thing. It's just the truth. But again, as you said, sometimes you just can't speak the truth because the truth sometimes will bite you. He wants to play both ways. He'll in about a year or two, he'll learn that this ain't for me, and that's fine. But all he knows is all he knows.
No, I get it.
Yeah. No, I get it. But my only thing with it is just the NFL is already hard enough. Don't put more pressure on yourself than it needs to be.
Don't mess up the bag either.
Yeah, you want to be Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders. You can only probably be one. Like, come on, fam. It's not that easy.
What do you guys think best position?
Corner.
I say corner.
Yeah, I go corner as well. But wow, they don't know that. I think corner as well, but I think he can play offense in certain packages. Like if he goes to the Giants, for instance, and I've mentioned this, if you put him and my man from LSU, right, Malik Neighbors, thank you. I think that's something, especially like you go like maybe in a 2-minute offense, where all he's got to do is really run 9 routes. He doesn't necessarily have to know the route tree. You're going to put a lot of pressure, which is eventually going to open up one of those guys because you can't double both. So I think, again, it's not designed to play every down, but certainly I think it's a situation where if you put him in the unique packages, he can excel.
Hey, what's up, man? You went out drinking last night after game 1? What?
You went to go see
turn it up?
Dude, it's Easter. So my bad.
So you were turning up. Hey,
but also too, it's OG's favorite holiday, so I figured he wouldn't be on at all. So my bad.
Oh, see, there you go. He was prepared. That boy prepared.
Exactly.
The real professional there.
I know. Happy Bunny Day, everybody.
So why
what's happening to you,
Mr. Timberwolf?
Thank you.
How did you like the way y'all looked yesterday?
I liked it, but they scare me because they're a Jekyll and Hyde team. There's times where they've been up, 24 points and they lose the game.
Right.
So I don't. You know what? It's one of those series where I'm just going to be like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. I don't know.
I guess.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? And it's nice too because you had other guys that were actually scoring instead of this ant. So, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, O said the same thing. You know, y'all, they gotta play defense.
Yeah.
You know, y'all was shooting the air out the ball yesterday. But but my question to the guys, based on game 1 yesterday, what series do you think will be the best of the 4?
I think the Clippers in Denver.
Yeah, Kev said the same thing. Yeah,
I think so because Denver's not the same team as it was a couple years ago. You know, the whole deal.
And they lost the coach. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they didn't lose the coach; they fired the coach.
And they got rid of the coach.
Like they're like, happy early Easter, and here's your severance pay, millions of dollars. Here you go, see you, bye.
Pretty much.
Ain't America.
But while you here, T,
yeah,
I want listen to this video. We all just listen to the video and tell me what you think based on him.
What position do you want to hear the commissioner say when he says Travis Hunter?
He better say wide receiver and DB. Got to.
So just wide receiver, DB, not athlete?
No, I need to say wide receiver and DB.
What position?
Is he biting off more than he can chew, wanting to play both?
No, I think if whoever drafts him, this is just my opinion, he has to start with the defensive backfield first, because that's the most complicated of the both positions. He has to be in the rooms. He has to listen to the schemes. He has to understand things. On offense, they can just come up with small packages for him and just say, hey, you know what? We're going to have you do this, and this. So, yeah.
Do you think in most cases a team would be like, look, learn this side of the ball first, then we can talk about doing other things?
Again, this depends upon what team it is. You know, I mean, to me, so let's say that Cleveland drafts him, right? Or even Cleveland and New York, they're both, both coaching staffs are on the hot seat.
Right. Yeah.
Well, they want to put, number one, they want to win. Okay. Number two, they want to put butts in the seats. And the best way to do that is to have him play both sides. But he can't play, he can't play every snap. He just can't. So, so they're just going to come up with some small packages for him on wide receiver.
So if you were, go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said the same thing, T. Just from a standpoint, right? You limit, what he does. Put a couple of packages that he does well. You're probably just doing 9 routes, and listen, in 2-minute offense or what have you, or maybe some special reverse packages. The guy's got great speed. He's very astute when it comes to football and field. So yeah, I think again, if you put him in, maybe if he touches offense, maybe 10 to 15 plays a game, he's good.
Yeah, but one thing I'm not sure if they will have him do is running any type of reverse or anything like that, because the last thing they want is for him to get hurt, right? They don't want to get lit up. Who knows? But again, both these organizations, their coaches on the hot seat, so they may just throw everything out there like let's see what happens, right?
Right.
No question.
So my next question, guys, from the group here, Happy Easter from NYO Weekly. What's y'all plans for today, man? What's y'all plans for today? Where y'all going? Or
eating.
Who's coming over? You going somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go to somebody's house and need them out of house and home.
That's Terrell's thing. He comes
right. Yeah. I just had to ask.
Go hungry, leave happy, like IHOP.
Exactly. and bring leftovers home. So yeah, I'm good. So
yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Same
what
here.
About you, Kev?
Yeah, you going somewhere?
I did my run around yesterday. Today is meant to rest. Actually, it's funny. I have a lot of work to do between all my different things, and also to the NYO audience. It's not 100% official, but I might be adding another. I just got a call on Friday night. I might be adding another writing brand to the repertoire. So I got some
Alright,
things I want to do. So between my water world and my entrepreneurial stuff. So I'm just gonna take the day, sit in my own home office, put TV on the laptop, and get some stuff done. And like I said, I always saw Mom and all of them yesterday. They done took all my money, so I have nothing left to give. So I'm just gonna relax.
Oh man, you was handing out Easter baskets. They took all your money.
I give Easter baskets every week, bro.
All right.
I love my mother. God bless. I don't complain on an 89-year-old woman. Well, actually turns 89 next week or week after.
Okay.
But I listen. Like I said, that woman's still a Harlem hustler. I don't care how old she gets.
Hey, Suave, as soon as Cam comes walking in the door, she hits the play button. Every day I'm hustling.
Hey.
You know what she said? Close the doors. Close the doors. I said, close the doors.
Y'all ain't. Hey, you ain't got to go nowhere. We all going to eat together. I was like, no, not really. But
I hope she don't see this. She'll be very upset at me. But yeah, I'm just gonna do some stuff today, man. I'll put a Swanson in the oven or something. I don't know, but I'm good.
Yeah, I get you. All right. So, last question before we get up out of here, man. Is there any surprises this upcoming draft? Is anybody going to trade their future, for one of these top prospects? Because I hear a lot of teams are trying to get in that top 10, get Shedeur. We've talked about it here, the Steelers, maybe one or, you never know. You never know. Somebody may trade back. Y'all think any surprises or how many surprises maybe in this draft?
Well, I think this is a very unpredictable draft. After excuse me, after Cam Ward, after that, I mean, who knows? We've talked about this before. It could be Abdul Carter, it could be Travis Hunter, it could be Shedeur. Who knows? What I think is going to be could happen. It could be a run on quarterbacks later in the first round.
You think so? Like Darden all up?
Yeah, it's a possibility. Because because this is not a great draft when it comes to quarterbacks. So you really can't sit and wait. So so you could see a run. I mean, there's some people that are out there talking about Jaden Milroe. Sorry, that he could go in the bottom of the first round as a runner alone. But again, we don't know this, and that's why I think that once Shedeur is selected, I think that's when you start seeing a kind of like a run. Or he's gonna be the key piece, right, to see what happens if he gets drafted early. So, who knows?
Yeah, it's funny. I was chatting this morning with a colleague, a good friend of mine, and her son is in the draft. And y'all, for those who know, I don't want to mention him now.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Just from a standpoint of how uncertainty this thing is, after you really, I think we understand the top picks, but to answer your question, Swab, expect the unexpected. I think it's going to be a lot of movement we're not even thinking of. I do see Pittsburgh making a move. I don't know how far. I think Pittsburgh probably further they can go with maybe 10-9 to New Orleans. I do see that. I think it's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of trading down happening in the draft. And you're right, Milroe. What I'm hearing, Milroe's probably going to sneak in to the late first round, which I think again is kind of crazy. But then again, it only takes one team, right? Jackson Dart, the same thing, and the kid from Louisville. These guys are sitting right there. There's even word out that maybe Cleveland would draft Travis at 2 and then try to trade back in the draft with they have like 9 picks, right? And trade back in and try to get Shedeur and keep the Buffalo Jackson State thing going. I mean, listen, anything is possible. And
that'd be crazy. That would be crazy.
Draft, look at it this way, and tell you know this from being in the game the way you've been. When you have a draft where there's more players than not attending the actual festivities, you know it's going to be a lot of movement. because Dalton pulled out. There's only Milroe and I believe Cam Ward. We know Cam is one, so he's out the green room quick. Milroe, probably be sitting there a while. But with only 2 quarterbacks going to the actual festivities, that tells me it's going to be a lot of movement. That tells me that people are expecting that because they're like, we don't want our guy to be embarrassed or have the unexpected, have to change hats. So I think this is going to be a draft that is going to, for the football fans like us, the junkies, this is, we live for this in the spring.
Outside of Eli, has that ever happened? Like you get drafted one place and traded on it, like the day of the draft?
Yeah, I think a couple times, but nothing.
I know he's the biggest one.
Right? Eli and my gosh, I'm talking about Phillip Rivers.
Oh,
well, yeah.
What was he drafted to? They were they were swapped. Oh, right.
San Diego took Ashley Fisley drafted Eli.
Right.
But then they made the swap right.
Well, yeah. We know that was that was ahead of time. They knew that was going to happen. So.
Right.
Okay.
Because Eli said he did not play for the Chargers.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, Mannings were not. They weren't going to play for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They pulled the Elway.
Could that y'all think that can happen like in this current day of football?
I don't think so. Only because the Mannings had, they have a lot of clout.
Yeah.
And as much as Dion has a lot of clout, he doesn't have that much clout because a lot of people don't like Dion.
Right.
And in my opinion, there's no reason to hate Dion whatsoever.
Yeah.
But people do. So, but again, I mean, we don't know. It's gonna be interesting, and to Kev's point about Pittsburgh, the only thing I can see that would hold Pittsburgh from trading up is because they don't have a second round draft pick this year because they gave it away. Right now, are they? And they're not really an organization that's willing to give up the future of the farm to move up. It has to be, it has to be something that they're comfortable with. It could happen. Who knows, right? So,
I agree, and I know like this is not on the thread, but I want to say this to the audience. As a Jet fan, speaking for the Jet Nation, I can't be more happier. And I know this might sound sacrilege to the people who know me for years and years on these rooms. I can't be more happy that Aaron Rodgers is not in our locker room.
Y'all did him wrong, Kev.
What he pulled on McAfee the other day to me was embarrassing to him, was embarrassing to McAfee, because again, it's like you spoke for an hour and really didn't say anything.
Kev, he said he was interested, man, when you asked.
Like I said,
he said he's interested.
Aaron Glenn more and more every day.
But
it's not a definite but he interested, man.
But the thing is though, is that the Jets did do him wrong. I mean, if they're going to say, hey, we're going to move on, tell them over the phone. Don't have the man fly out there on his own dime, and then the conversation is 30 seconds or whatever it is. You can do that over the phone.
It's all how that is. There's two sides to the story, and there's the truth. So for him to say that, and we know how Aaron Rodgers, just the perception he gives, Aaron Rodgers don't budge for nobody.
Yeah,
so
he's the smartest guy in the room.
Right. So it could be more than just that. It could be a situation. It could have even been a situation where when Glenn could have been like, hey, listen, if I don't get a definitive answer from this guy, I'm not doing it. When somebody flies 3,000 miles and sits me face to face and go, well, I think I might want to play, that's not good enough for me. And to me, Aaron Glenn, being a man of color, being in his 50s, having his first head coaching job, you might not get a second shot. And I don't want to get passionate like I am about the Jets, because that's a rumor that I'm passionate.
No. You saw your video.
I know. I'm taking the approach to be calm. I just feel like as a head coach, and it's guys I respect who cover the Jets a lot more than even I do. And they're like, oh, he should at least have the conversation. It ain't gonna matter if Aaron Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh and is 4-2 after 6 games. The Jets are 2-6. I get that, But what I am saying is that when you buy the house,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be able to model it your way, and that's just how I feel about it.
But I don't think that was Aaron Glenn's decision. I think it was the GM's decision, right? And and they're probably on the same page, probably so, right? But again, it's up to the GM to say, "Hey, we're moving on from you," because from all indications that I've heard from people, he wanted to go back and play with the Jets.
That's
true. There was no hesitation whatsoever, But again, if you're going to move on, then you're going to move on, just at least pick up the phone and tell the man. Don't have him fly way out, and because I went through that at the Niners where they would cut players. Okay, players would be coming in, getting ready to work out, whatever it is, and all of a sudden they cut them, and they don't tell the coaching staff. And it wasn't Bill Walsh. So connect the dots on that one, because we had one player that came in one time, and he came into the weight room, and we're sitting there, we're chopping it up. I said, where's Oliver? Because he used to bring his son in on Tuesdays, and we play wiffle ball together. And he goes, why would I bring him in today? I was like, why? I said, why not? He goes, well, I just got cut. I was like, what do you mean you just got cut? And we were like, what? And then we had another guy who got cut, and they didn't tell us, and he was about to come, and he was walking in the weight room to work out. So imagine if he would have worked out, got hurt.
Damn.
Yeah. So so again, it's we know a lot of these GMs and coaches, they have egos, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we all want to be treated a certain way, right? With respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that personally, Aaron Rodgers is hurt because for all the years he's done that to people, he got his own medicine done back to him. I mean, how many times have he's left teams on the island? How many times have he's had these ayahuasca retreats and fake COVID shots? So I just think sometimes when you get it smacked back at you, when you're a player and somebody play you, you feel bad about, damn, that didn't feel good. So I'm just saying, I mean, yeah, that you're right. They could have called him, but I'm not losing any sleep because a man looked me in the face and told me, I don't know if I want to play or not. I'm still debating about it. And I told him, take a walk. Take a walk.
So, real quick though, T.
Yeah.
You being the man that you are, you say, hey, I got a job for you. You interested? Or, I got a job for you. And they'd be like, I'm interested. How do you take that? Hey, I got this play for you. You want to do it? I'm interested. Do you be like, knowing you probably know how you're gonna be, but how would you perceive that?
Well, and again, it depends upon your position and what you need. But if you give somebody a great opportunity and they're like, well, let me think about it. I was like, look, I'll give you 24 hours to think about it. Or, or if they've got something, or if they got something else going on in their lives where they're like, okay, I need a few more days. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're going to keep stringing me along, guess what? I'm sorry. I'm not going to deal with it. Yeah. I am not going to deal with it.
And that's probably how the Jets felt. Like, bro, you got to tell us something. Like, come on, fam. The draft is, although they don't need a quarterback, but still.
It's all pre-Justin Fields, too. So,
is it?
Yes. It's all pre-Fields. So you got to know something. So, but guys, I don't know if I will. I don't know. Look at Pittsburgh. Poor Pittsburgh is blowing in the wind right now.
Yeah.
But again, from the people that have played with him that I know, they said that he wanted to go back to the Jets and play.
That is the room, and that's why like Quentin Williams, these guys were kind of annoyed initially because he did tell him he wanted to come back, but then again, obviously it's not the same head coach, it's not the same GM, it's not the same battery. So you can't expect to have that type of carte blanche. Now, you're Aaron Rodgers as an NFL great. You have it from a league perspective because everybody knows what you can do. But these guys don't owe you nothing. They didn't bring you in here. They didn't sign you. Obviously, and maybe, if you want to play devil's advocate, maybe Aaron could have had a little bit more. But Aaron Glenn is being Aaron Glenn. People are like, oh, he's trying to be a tough guy. No, he's just being who he is. And if that's not good enough for you, or if you have a problem with that, then so be it. I understand that. At least they gave him the opportunity to say it about narrative. Now he says he didn't care about narrative. I disagree with that. We all care about narrative. Narrative matters for a lot of us. So for him to say, I don't do an F about narrative, I don't necessarily believe that. So at least they gave him the option to how they want to work this thing out so it doesn't make him look bad, because all he does is go back on McAfee anyway. So they gave you that option. They didn't want to be bothered with you. They gave you the option of how you want to present it, and you still went back on TV and talked about him. So at the end of the day, Father Time is undefeated. And anywhere you had a job in the corporate world where you get older and you've done great work, they're like, listen, yeah, you was great back in your day, but your fastball ain't faster no more, So that's reality to everyone. And it's a reality to Aaron Rodgers and anybody who works in any position where you age out. And he's in a situation now, while he had a decent season last year, where I think would give him the opportunity to play this year, the options are not as great. And this is 5-6 years ago. This be like Nico in college. Everybody be lined, well, they didn't even line up for him, but everybody be lined up for Aaron Rodgers if he had an opportunity to get him. But time changes, all the time.
But again, I'm going back to the way that the way the meeting supposedly went down.
Right.
Again, if you're going to move on, just do it over the phone. Don't have the man fly out there. But also,
we only hear one side, Terrell. We don't hear the Jets side.
Well, because you know what? They're being smart. They're not going to go back and forth.
Right. It doesn't matter. Right. Yes. I agree.
But what I'm saying too is maybe they looked at everything from the inside and said, we don't need the stuff that comes along with Aaron Rodgers because we're a new team. We're trying to do certain things a certain way, and maybe they were like, hey, you know what? He's a good player, and he may say, okay, you know what? I'm going to toe the line, but we know Aaron Rodgers is going to do what Aaron Rodgers wants to do, plain and simple. So maybe that was a point of it. There was like, But again, I just don't like if this happened the way it did. That's the only thing. I just don't like the way it happened. They if they want to move on, that's up to them.
Let's say we can end it. Let's say they do give him the phone call, right? Mm-hmm. They do a Zoom, or they do a streamer like we're doing now. Right. And they tell him that. Don't you think he would still have a problem with that? He claims he wouldn't. He says, well, you could have just told me before I got on the plane. He's still doing McAfee ripping Aaron.
But that's the thing is we don't know.
That's true.
We don't know, and we know that Aaron Rodgers is a petty person, which I'm all for it because I'm petty as well. But again, you want to be treated a certain way, especially a guy with that caliber who's done so many things, but again, who knows? And I think the Jets are being smart by not responding. Maybe sometime throughout the season they'll respond. So
it's just like Halle Berry.
What do you think?
She's fine in the finals, you know what? And a lot of people have been with her, but she ain't never been with me. So it don't mean nothing to me.
Go ahead, O. Go ahead. What you got?
I get it, but this is not the first time he's held an organization hostage trying to make a decision.
But again, OG, he didn't hold the Jets hostage.
No. I'm not talking about the Jets. I'm saying when he was leaving Green Bay, that was that point, right? I don't know what I want to do. Okay. So after this season, if they said we're doing a coaching change and the first thing out of your mouth is, well, I don't know if I want to stay or not. Okay, fine. You have a chance to sign with Pittsburgh. You still don't know if you want to play, quote unquote. So I get it, but at the end of the day, for the past couple of decisions, you've been taking your time. And as an NFL team, I don't think I should have to wait. It's either yes or no.
But
I have to move on because I have other things that I have to consider at this point. And it's not your first rodeo doing this, not your second rodeo doing this, your third time in a row. So after a while, to me, that's your pattern.
Okay, so I will tell you this. When it came down to the Packers, it wasn't just him. The Packers were talking about bringing him back as a backup.
Ooh.
Okay. Now and he was still on a contract, right? He was still on a contract when he was with the Packers. He wanted to stay with the Packers, but the Packers said, we're going to go with Jordan Love. And that's when he said, well, maybe it's best I move on. So in my opinion, this is just my opinion. You can't blame him for like, okay, you know what? I'm going to move on. He didn't hold the Packers hostage.
He was out of his contract when he went to the Jets. He was out of his contract.
No.
When he went to the Jets, he was still on the contract. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he had 1 year left on his contract. Even if he wasn't under contract, which I believe he was, they said if you come back, you're going to be a backup because they said they're going to move on with Jordan Love.
Nobody's bigger than the organization.
But the thing is, though, is if you still believe that you can play, that I mean, again, when Aaron Rodgers when he moved on, when the Packers moved on from him, he still had a pretty good season. So again, that's the Packers' prerogative. They can do whatever the heck they want to, and at least they gave him that respect to say, hey, look, we're going to move on. We're going to if you want to come back, you're a backup. We're going to go with Jordan Love's going to be the starter. They gave him that respect, and he's like, okay, guess what? Then maybe we should just part ways. But again, this is a whole different situation where, and again, the Jets can do whatever they want to. I don't care. But again, if it went down the way that I think it went down, because I've seen it before, it's not, to me, it's disrespectful. It really is. But again, if it didn't go down that way, then guess what, Aaron Rodgers? You just dug yourself a deeper hole. So, I mean, again, we don't, who knows?
But just, go ahead, Chef.
Well, sorry about that. You think he ultimately ends in Pittsburgh, or because it seems like at the moment,
you don't have a choice,
right? That's what it looks like.
Well, I think with the thing with Aaron Rodgers, and Kev, you may be right. It might have been like a slap in the face to him, where he's like, okay, is it worth me going back to play? I mean, we all know that these athletes, they're competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very rare that an athlete walks away on their own terms, right? Can he give Pittsburgh something? I think he can. Right. I really do. I mean, he's not going to be the Aaron Rodgers of 5-6 years ago, but I think he still can give them something. So, and he's got a lot that he has to think over. That he's like, do I really want to do this? I have enough money. I'm in a serious relationship. There's other things that I can do that I want to do. That's something that he has to think about, and I mean, again, we don't know how much he's talked to the Steelers and said, I need more time. At one point he has to give them an answer, and this is just my guess. I think it's going to come this week.
I think it would have to, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm about to say, at this point, you're getting to the point of no return.
Yeah, I mean, again, Pittsburgh. I mean, are they going to, if he doesn't come, are they going to go with a Mason Rudolph, or are they going to bring in a Carson Wentz, or who are they going to bring in?
They said from what I heard, Tomlin said he is fine with Rudolph.
Well, I mean,
Mike is always going to see is always going to be.
I mean, I get it, but at the end of the day, I mean, once again, why am I waiting for you to give me an answer?
But again, we don't know the conversations that they've had, and Aaron Rodgers may have said, "Look, I need more time."
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Regardless of the conversation, you haven't signed, and there's a team waiting for your answer. Yeah. We do know that. So at this point in time, the draft is what, 4 days away?
Thursday.
I think Pittsburgh, no matter what, will still draft the quarterback.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean,
and that guy might
get it.
Play, but it might.
I get it. But but what I'm saying is that this is starting to become Aaron Rodgers is taking over the offseason with a decision.
And that's my thing. He and listen, I know he mentioned about some personal things and respect to Aaron, but he's used to taking the option out the room. We can only go by what we watch and what we witnessed over the years. This is nothing new to him. Like you go work out with DJ Metcalf, and he said, "Those wasn't my cameras," but So wait a minute. If you don't want this to be recorded with cameras, it's just little things like again. I was born at night. I wasn't born last night. It's little things. That's all I'm saying, and that's his prerogative. Shout out to Bobby Brown. But it's just a situation where I just think that, bro, you're not 25 anymore. You don't have the luxury of really calling that shot. Now, Pittsburgh really has no choice. You sit and wait because there's nowhere else you can go. You're both trapped in the corner. So either you want each other and you're gonna make the relationship work, or you just go your separate ways and go host Jeopardy. I don't know.
But but here's the thing too: is it his fault that he's getting so much media coverage? No, it's the media, just putting everything out there because it's a narrative that they know people are going to feed on.
But it is his fault to him. He embraces that, then he plays victim to that. Well, I'm just a quiet guy. I don't know why y'all. I'm just throwing a football at UCLA. Why you? What's the big deal? So I'm just making a point. It's okay because it's not his fault. You're gonna follow me. You're gonna follow me. But it's just like the Kardashians, right? It's not their fault they have all the media attention, but it is their fault when they embrace it and do things to bring in the media. Because you open the door, you keep the door closed if you wanted to. Like, how did that video get out about him in the Tahoe going to Pittsburgh? How somebody's taking these pictures? That's what I'm saying, T.
But again, we don't know if it's somebody on his team or whoever it is. And the thing is that people want to look at. They want to look at the negative and throw them out there. And again, Aaron has brought some of the stuff onto himself. And you got to remember too. Yes. You got to remember too that he was quiet for a long time. And when everything started to come out, is when his family members started talking trash about him. That's when he said, "Okay, I've had enough." And then he came out and started defending himself. And it just keeps this keeps the snowballing time after time after time. And again. Has he brought some of this upon himself? Yeah, he has by going on the McAfee show, But again, if the media's going to take all this stuff and just keep running with it. And I will tell you, do I like Aaron Rodgers as a football player? Yes, I do. I do. But also, too, I know enough people who played with him said, like, he's the greatest guy in the locker room. He supports people's, like one guy that I know for a fact, his family was going through some cancer stuff. And all of a sudden, he has a check of 6 figures in his locker from Aaron Rodgers. But that stuff doesn't get out. Everybody wants to talk about it. Again, it's the media, and it doesn't matter. It could be OG. We know how great OG is. Does all this stuff, but all it takes is one camera to find OG with a blunt in his mouth. At a Whataburger, and people are going to run with that as negative, like, oh my God, look what he's doing. People feed him the negative stuff, It's just like,
but at the end of the day, feeding the negative stuff or not, you're in a narrative for the past 3 years. You've been the narrative. You could easily shut all that down and just say whatever you need to say. But this has been dragging on and dragging on and dragging on and dragging on every offseason. I understand you have a decision to make. I get it. But at the end of the day, the optics, whatever the case may be, doesn't look good in your favor when every time we turn around and you have a decision to make, you drag it to the 13th hour.
But you know what? But that's his prerogative, though. If he's under contract or not, that's his prerogative, right?
Okay, but it's the prerogative of a team also to move on without knowing your answer.
100%.
So that's what I'm saying. I get it, but at the end of the day, when you do it, it's fine. But when it's done to you, it's a problem. It can't be both ways. It's a one-way street like that. You can't be fine when you do it. Then when it comes back on you, oh, it's a problem. I didn't know, bro.
It's cool when they do it, but when I do it, it's a problem.
Right. No. We can't have that.
But again, if the meeting went the way that he said it did, that's the only problem that I have with it. That's the only problem.
No, I agree. My thing is, I just don't. I think it's two sides and there's the truth, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's probably correct on certain things, but I'm not saying his words are all gospel. I can't. No,
exactly.
But I heard what you mentioned, Terrell. People, like I said again, even the guys here in the Jets, with all the losing season and stuff like that, people were really fans of him. But I understand why the coach is saying, I'm the captain now, I gotta do it myself. Real quick, fellas, do you see one guy that has been really quiet is the Kirk Cousins drama? We know Atlanta's not going back to Kirk Cousins next year. What's going on there? Does Pittsburgh might make a trade for him? I know they signed Flacco. Does maybe Kirk Cousins go to Pittsburgh?
But OG just said it perfectly. That means that you have to pay him $27 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's guaranteed. You know, so do you give up a 4th round draft pick or 3rd and a 6th, whatever it is, and then you have that on your books, for $27 million?
Pay for a top 5 receiver. That's like getting the 24s, but you ride it on a Kia, an old school Kia. Like you bought the wheels, you gotta have the engine. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, let's get it wrong. Like you brought the receiver, and you got no.
You got to go BBS. What are you doing?
But Kev, we also look at it like this: what's the rush for Atlanta to get rid of Kirk Cousins? Who's the backup?
Yeah,
what other quarterback is on that squad?
But they'll bring in the backup.
I know, but I'm just saying right now, who's the other quarterback on that squad?
I don't think that's healthy for their locker room to have a guy like Kirk Cousins there when you're trying to develop a young quarterback to start. I don't think it's healthy. Personally, I don't think it's a healthy move.
I think it's healthy to have him there because Kirk he's accepted that he's going to be the backup. But also too, we have to remember we don't know the extent of that elbow injury that he has. That's another thing, that they're looking at. He had the Achilles, he had the elbow injury, that didn't come out until during halfway through the season. So you have to look at that. Plus, you have to look at the money, So and I think also too that there's enough veteran quarterbacks. Well, not enough, but there's some veteran quarterbacks out there that are free agents that you can bring in as a backup, to help Michael Penix. So again, I think it comes down to the money. That's what I think, but. If I had to guess, I think that Aaron Rodgers signs with Pittsburgh this week, and they don't trade for Kirk Cousins. That's just my guess. I don't know. So
I think ultimately he will end up in Steel City. I think so too.
Who's that? Kirk or Rodgers?
Rodgers.
Yeah. Oh, I mean it's simple, bro. Do you want to play football? Yes or no? If you want, there's only one team that wants you at this point.
But
so that's sad.
You could,
and you're right.
But still, just say, "Hey, I'm going to be here. Let's get this on paper. Just give me some time." It could be that, but again, Aaron is going to beat to Aaron's drum, and that is his right to do. But also, you have to realize that you ain't the bad bitch no more. So it ain't like you got a lot of options.
Well, but also too, you have to, and of course, I'm going to look from the player's standpoint too. You got to look at, how he feels mentally and physically as well. Like, he's like, okay, do I want to go through another season to where I'm getting hit and I'm 40, he's 41, about to be 42, something like that, where he's waking up in the morning like, oof, so, again, it's his prerogative, to whatever he wants to do,
Okay.
And I remember just real quick. So I remember when Steve Young was going through that whole deal as well. With the concussions, it took Steve a while to come to that decision to like, and what? But again, it's different because the Niners gave him time. They were like, take all the time you need, talk to the people that you need to talk to the doctors, talk to whomever,
right?
And then in 2000 he came to that conclusion, like, look, it's best for my health and my brain not to play anymore. So.
But he had equity built with the Niners. If spent 2 years with the Jets and they did that to him, I would be on board too. That's not right. He has no equity built with the Jets. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, you was hot. You was hot, Craig, but you wasn't hot for me. he was hot, but it's not anything to do with me. I didn't get none of that. So again, maybe from a football legacy standpoint, you could say that, but from accountability, man to man, I ain't getting none of that lick. So it don't matter to me. But guys,
now I was gonna say, is it safe to say he's He's now Brett Favre.
Yeah.
As far as the off-season situation. You know, to
Uh,
keep, I don't know if I want to play. It's like, fam,
But-
if you don't know, just take a year off.
But again, it's their prerogative. You know, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers takes a year off, he might as well just say I'm retired because he's going to be 42, 43, right? So, again, I mean, and again, and we're all guessing here. We don't know what conversations that him and Pittsburgh have had. We don't know if they talked last week and say, hey, you know what? I just need a few more days. But here's the thing about Pittsburgh and any sports organization that's smart. They have a backup plan. They have a contingency plan. And I'm sure that they've reached out to some of these other quarterbacks and said, hey, look, by the way, we're waiting on this. If this doesn't happen, then we're going to bring you in. You
can always call Bruce Bean.
Yeah. I mean, you always have a contingency plan if you're smart.
Cat Rooney's available.
Yeah,
I get it
real quick. To that point, that contingency plan ain't really working because it's almost like you got to find a new one every year. Last year it was Justin or Russ. Year before that it was who?
Pickens.
Yeah.
Rudolph.
Yeah. Well, this your third time. It's like, fam, you got to find at least a 2-3 year option.
Okay, but think about this too as well. Is they wanted to keep Justin Fields, but Justin, he went for the more money and he went to Aaron Glenn. He felt it was a better, he thought it was a better fit. They thought that they had their guy, But again,
but they kind of screwed him though.
That's the number one though.
How did they screw him?
You were 4-2 when you bench him.
But he knew the situation when they traded for him.
Yes, I know you're not trying to give Chicago your 4th round pick, but now you ain't got neither one of them. Now you're trying to figure out who your new hire.
But again, and I mean, have they done things the right way, or have they done things that have been successful as far as the quarterback position? No, they haven't. They're still trying to figure it out. And the thing is, though, is that you have to think about this too. Are you going to stay with a quarterback that hasn't played up to their standards?
You talking about Justin?
I'm not even talking about. Again, they want to keep Justin, but they let Russ go for whatever reason it is, and in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, that there's nothing wrong sometimes with moving on from people if it's not working, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So because Russ was only a 1-year deal, right?
Yes.
And for whatever reason,
I think.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, they came down towards the end of the season where he didn't play well, and they decided to move on. And I'm sure that they had conversations about that. So I mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so yeah. I mean, are they searching for quarterbacks? Yeah, they are. They just haven't found the right one. They, and I think OG said it. They thought they had one in Kenny Pickett. It didn't work out.
I think that situation is similar to earlier, like when Glenn asked him, "Or do you want to play?" "Oh, I'm interested." Look, fam, it's a yes or no. Same thing with Justin. We like you. We're gonna try this other chick first, though, and then if she don't work out, we'll come back. He like, what? I'm gonna get the hell up out of here. I'm not staying here for this.
No, but you have to remember too, they weren't pursuing Aaron Rodgers.
No, I'm talking about just last year with Russ and Justin. But when you benched them, you were 4-2. I can see if you was 2-4.
Right, but again, they looked at it from a standpoint that Justin wasn't ready to be their full-time quarterback, right? And again, that's probably part of their fault that they didn't develop him as fast as they want to, but they wanted to keep him this year. right?
And Justin probably was like, "Well, you didn't want me last year,
Well,
obviously."
I
was 4-2, baby.
They didn't guarantee him that he would be the starter. That was the issue.
Last year.
No, this year. I'm talking about this year. That's why the Jets. Hey, we're gonna be out.
No, I thought it was because of the money situation as well. Because didn't the Jets offer him more money than what Pittsburgh offered him?
He's getting with the Jets 2 for $40 guaranteed. I think
20
guaranteed.
30,
right?
Yeah,
but
he's guaranteed 30, right?
Guaranteed 20 of the 30.
Okay, yeah. So and again, I don't think that Pittsburgh offered him that.
Right.
But also too, think about this. And it's no slap against Arthur Smith, but the OC that Aaron Glenn brought in came from Detroit under Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
And look what he did with Jared Goff. So that might have been intriguing to Justin Fields as well. Like, hey, wait a minute.
I mean,
I have a wide open offense.
Justin's going to have a great season. I really think he's going to have a breakout season. But again, like I said, it's just I guess putting a bow on Pittsburgh and Aaron is just you can look at it for any way you look at it. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I just when it came down to that. You're right, Tell. They could have told him over the phone, but I also believe that Aaron could have just been more upfront because, again, when you're used to having options and then options are not abound as they used to be, that's an adjustment for any human being, any human in any line of work or.
Yeah, but you know what? He's done enough in this league to where now he can make a decision whether he retires or he decides to play whatever it is. It's not going to stop him from going to the Hall of Fame. No. Is he a quirky guy? Yeah, he's a quirky guy. But again, he's
not quirky. He's not quirky. He's immunized. Come on, man, stop. He's immunized. Get it right.
he's a quirky guy. But at the end of the day, the public can have whatever opinion they want on him, but it's the guys that he's played with. That's the matter of opinion. That he cares about more than anything else. So
that's fact. That's fact.
Hey, so before I came in, did you guys talk about the jersey retirement in Colorado?
No, but you can start. Boy, hey, boy. That's why this works, boy. Boy. Go ahead, Carol. We're gonna go Carol. I'm gonna you didn't care,
Well, okay. So my opinion is I don't see anything wrong with it. I really don't. I don't.
Okay.
Because I think people are looking at it, in my opinion, they're looking at it more from a football standpoint. Okay.
Yeah.
But look what those two did for that college, for that community, and and it's up to the AD and the head coach on whose jerseys get retired. And I'm sure that Dion went and probably say, hey, maybe we should do this, or maybe the AD went to him. I don't know. So
from a reliable source, they say they came to Dion about it.
Okay,
I heard that as well.
Okay,
yeah, they say they came to him about it. He didn't mention it. They was like, hey, Prime, this is what we want to do.
So yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it whatsoever.
Go ahead, 950. What you got?
Well, I understand it from that standpoint, Terrell, and I've heard this from people who are Colorado alums. A few guys, one of the guys I know here in New York played for Chuck Fairbanks many years ago, and when I think about like the McCarthy National Championship days, Sal Nessie, J.J. Flanagan, Deion Figures, who wore number 2, Bieniemy. When I look Chad Brown, when I look at it for Cordell Stewart, I can go on and on. I think we live in an era and a time where it's if you wasn't around in social media era, you was unknown. It didn't happen. They can't pull up a tweet. It didn't happen. Now again, I'm not mad at Dion or even Rick George, who's the AD, for making this. But Rick George has been at Colorado for over 35 years. Rick George was on that staff when they won the national championship in '91, and the block in the back that Rocket Ismail got, and Notre Dame lost that game. And they had a guy who just went into the College Football Hall of Fame, Deion Figures, who wore number 2. Mm-hmm. Ambitious Deion, probably knows Deion from the league. That was my thing.
Okay.
Again, what do you tell number 2? Now, all of a sudden, now they want to start giving plaques and statues. Bill McCartney just died. Now they're giving him a statue. I understand Colorado was such in the abyss over the last probably 15 years. Nobody cared. If you retired a number, who cares? Ain't nobody showing up. So I understand Dion and that Shedeur and Travis brought the juice back. But I also know that and Prime would have the same feeling if a kid went to Florida State right now and won the Heisman and all that and had the same season as Travis had in 2 years. Oh, you're going to put him ahead of me? So I think you got to look at it both ways. Now, I understand both sides of the fence. I get it. You give people their flowers where you can smell them. I heard all the cliches coming out of Colorado. But what do you tell those guys? It's a lot of core football players that wore that black and gold. Chad Brown, Michael Westbrook, who's a friend of Prime's. What do you tell those guys? Joe Klatt. What do you tell those guys? That's my only thing. That their contribution didn't matter. They the only one that got hardware in that football room. But I understand it from Prime's perspective. And like Swab said, it was Rick George. Now, Rick, I keep it a buck. Rick probably was on his way out if it wasn't for Dion this new thing. So Rick might be saying, listen, I know when my bread's being buttered. And even though maybe Dion didn't bring it to the table, when they made that deal, I'm gonna sweeten the deal. Hey, we're gonna retire your son's jersey and Travis. So I get it, but it's hard for me. What do you tell those guys of yesteryear? That's all.
Yeah. OG.
Now we're rewarding you for what you do off the field instead of what you do on the field. That's what I thought retirement was for. What you did on the field.
Well, it's kind
you
of
didn't
both.
win anything. Well, you haven't done anything.
14 and 13.
You haven't done anything. One got a Heisman. That's it. Yes, you turned around it, but the other people that Kevin's talked about, there's a chip there because of them.
Yeah.
That's the last time he was relevant. So you're just gonna skip the past and just go straight to the future? So you forget your past? You never know your history?
The present. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
But yeah, and again, I agree with you that Dion figures his retired. There's a reason why Cordell's is not retired, and it's not. Yeah, and you know why? It's and it's nothing to do with what he did on the field. It's just some personal beliefs. Which is a shame. But again, if they, I don't have a problem with Prime and Travis and Shedeur saying, yeah, go ahead and do it. I don't have a problem with that. It's up to the administration, right? It's on them to correct a wrong, which I don't know if they'll ever do. I really don't. But also too, it could be political, right? Where they're like, okay, we're going to retire the jersey, so that means we're going to have guaranteed donations coming in from the Sanders family. So again, I don't blame them. If we're going to blame somebody, blame the administration.
Yeah.
So
it's business involved, and like I said, McCartney's statue will be debuted this fall, which I think is well overdue. Again, you guy my age, Bill McCartney was Colorado. People forget Colorado in the early '90s was second to none. Canavis, McGee, Alfred Williams. I can go on and on because I was a fan of the Buffaloes back in the day to the point when Dion got hired. People say, "Oh, you just saying that now because Prime." Like, no, it's a guy who worked with me in New York here that played for Chuck Fairbanks, and when they had that old ass artificial turf. I remember Mark and Mindy going there. So I'm showing my age. I digress. But the reality is that this is a proud franchise, a proud university, just went on a bad skid, a really bad skid. So I understand the business side of it. Trust me, I get it. But I also, my thing is like, what do you tell those players, the guys that you want to come back, the guys that you want to be involved with that program with the AD who has seen all this lineage? He has been there. Rick George was a recruiting coordinator back in 1990. So Rick George has probably recruited Figures and help recruit Figures and Bieniemy and JJ Flanagan and all those guys, you know, he helped recruit those guys. So that's what I'm saying. How do you have that conversation? And I'm like, because, you know, y'all the hot thing now, a 14-13 record, no knock to Shedeur, but your record's your record, gets you a retired number. That's all.
Right. You know, and I will say this to you, OG, you know, so there's a guy out here named Al Grigsby who played basketball at Cal. And if you throw that name out there to anybody outside of this area, everybody's like, who the hell's Al Grigsby? You know, he was a decent player, but it's the stuff that he did in the locker room and off the court that everybody's like, this dude is a great person. Like, my God, like the things that he did. They retired his jersey. There was no pushback from anybody. So sometimes it is the stuff that you do off the court as well. You know, that they're recognizing what you've done, right? So again, we have to look at the whole picture and not just what certain people have done on the field.
And I think
okay, but the whole that whole picture still does not compute, bro. I'm sorry. I get it. You turn a school that was about to get rid of a program around. Okay, I get it. I get that. That gets your number retired over people that put blood and sweat on the field?
Well, just for clarity, the number actually isn't retired. It's just being honored in that process. So just so you know that it's not. But again, in their stadium, that too was on Sanders, not Figures or whatever. So, but nobody's gonna wear 2 anyway because Deion ain't gonna give nobody 2. So, so it ain't gonna give nobody 21 either because it's Shiloh and him. But it's technically not necessarily a retired number. It's just being honored. But again, what do you tell those players? Hopefully they now that they're kind of back on track, you know, they work that out. Maybe they do a wall of a name of fame or something like that because, you know.
And I agree with you on that. You know, that they should have taken care of those players in the past. They really should have. You know, but again,
you care at that point because you know what, when your university winning one football game, ain't nobody coming back there anyway. And it's unfortunate. You mentioned Cal, Terrell. We're seeing that with Cal, where their top 5 running backs went to the portal last week, and now you have a situation where people looking like, you know, what's going on with this program? They got Ron Rivera there, but you know, they want Ron to make more football decisions, but Ron is just there to help the program. So it's the nature of college sports right now.
So I will tell you this, that Cal sports has been in such they've been in quicksand for a while now. And because, you know, you had an AD there for a while, and I think she's at Penn State now, but you had an AD there that did not welcome the alumni back. You know, so one of my good friends who played at Cal and played with us at the Niners, he set up a tailgating every weekend out of his own pocket. He went and got Johnson sausages to donate food. He had a local brewery here that was donating everything. And he goes, all I ask is that we put up the sign that says Cal football alumni. And, you know, and we know how many people played at Cal. You know, from the Marshaws to, you know, to Sean Jefferson, so on and so forth, right? She would not let them put that sign up there. And the reason why is because the athletic department did not come up with this idea on their own. And he goes, I don't want any money. He goes, I don't want any recognition. I'm putting up my own money. And so it's stuff like that happens inside of college athletics, that the egos get in the way, get involved, and you're just like, it's about the program and about the kids. And that's why Cal has been, you know, that's why people leave Cal. And that's why Cal's been a hard time recruiting. Yeah. Because some people inside the athletic department does not support, you know, what they're trying to do there. So
it's a tough situation for them because they're like the all Marco Polo team. You play in the ACC, you know, you're kind of out of sorts. And, you know, obviously you lost your quarterback, your top 5 running backs. You know, and again, I said it's a proud. Aaron Rodgers is a Cal guy. It's a proud program, and it's just unfortunate that it's in that state. One of the best universities in America.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're a little weird, you know, but it is what it is. So so let me ask you guys this question. Let me throw this out to you guys. So, and I heard this the other day, and I thought, you know, it made me think about this even more. So let's say that you're a Division II or Division III program, okay,
Mhm.
and you spent the last 2 years developing your players, and now a D1 goes and grabs your player because in the transfer portal, should that university be compensated for all the development that they've done for these players?
You listen to Mickey Joseph, huh?
When you
I
say,
don't think it was Mickey Joseph. I think I can't remember who it was. But I was like, you know what? That's an interesting thought.
when you say compensated, you mean money?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I mean, okay, but how would you compensate the
they should.
school though?
Because again, the
Give him
schools-
what you paid him.
No,
Give the school
it
what
should
you
be
paid the kid.
like how you do, like they do in European soccer, right?
There you go.
You have a buyout clause, right? You
Yes.
want my player, you have to pay me X.
Yes.
I agree with that because I noticed for a fact that coaches and schools I know, like at the FCS level, and you mentioned D2, they're coming to players now like, look, we know if we get you right, you're out of here anyway. Just give us 2 years. That's
Right.
a horrible way of coaching for any coach. I don't
Yes.
care. Even the MAC is probably at that point, maybe even
Yes.
Conference USA and then the American. So if I believe it's true, if you want to raid my team, if you want my guys after I done gave you a finished product, which is going to make you more money and more exposure as a university, we should have a buyout. I thought it was a genius suggestion. I think, and obviously maybe as they move forward to more collective bargaining, that could be something in there because now you got to think twice if you want to go get that kid because it's going to cost you some money to go get that kid. So I like the idea personally.
In the transfer portal, correct?
Right, the kid decides to transfer, but we
Okay.
know that these kids are being poached before they even hit the portal,
Right.
right?
100%.
So, okay, fine, we all get it. It's no honor amongst thieves. But if you want OG, and I done help train OG and got OG right in the weight room, and got him more football acclimated, then yeah, you should compensate me because I got to go fill that hole. I got to go find another player. Like happened to Grambling. Grambling lost a couple of players to FBS. The Power 5, and it's like, wow, like now I got to start from zero again, So we know you're going to take that guy, but just give me a little lick.
But real quick, so to OG's, you're talking about OG. So let's say that somebody says, we need the #1 blunt roller, and it's OG's at Grambling. Let's go get him right now.
But it's still my decision to leave because I got into the transfer portal.
Correct.
So why am I paying you compensation for his decision?
So OG, here's what's happening in the transfer portal, is that, and it's basically poaching at its best. That you have agents and you have coaches from these other schools saying, hey, we know that you haven't entered the transfer portal yet, but we want you on our team. So put your name in the transfer portal. And that's what's happening a lot. So that's, and some of these, so some of these kids are not even thinking about it. So let's think about this too. When coaches want to leave to go to another school, their contracts have to get bought out by the other college. So why not do the same thing with these kids?
Because they're not under contract.
But actually they are, because if they're under scholarship.
Okay, but this is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
The kid has to want to leave to be in the transfer portal, correct?
Correct.
So once again, I have to pay for this kid's decision?
Yeah.
No.
Hear this out. Oh, there's sometimes kids go in the portal and they have a do not contact, right? So how do you go apply for a job and you're saying nobody call me for an interview? So you already know where you're going. In your aspect, if a kid says, hey, I'm leaving the school, right? The SEC has a rule within their conference that you can't go play at another SEC school. So again, this is all going to litigation. It's going to be law eventually. So all Mickey Joseph is saying, like, look, I understand that this kid has outgrown my school. He wants to go get a bag. God bless him. I'm not even fighting that. All I'm saying is that you, Mr. University, Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio State, you compensate me a couple of dollars back because I done gave you a finished product. I did all the work. I went and recruited the kid. I went and trained the kid. I gave him football acumen. I gave him time to play, to put him on film so you can go get him. It's fine. We understand that's the way of the game. All these schools, small schools, are saying let's stay afloat. And if the big schools were smart, they would agree to that, because you know what? Now I don't gotta. If I'm at Ohio State, if I'm a Michigan, I don't have to recruit high school no more. I just gotta go connect with the SWAC and the MEAC and let them do all the hard work and give me the players ready to come up for 2 years.
So in other words, it's just paid slavery.
Say it again.
It's just paid slavery. You want somebody else to do the work for you?
No, it's a feeder program. That's a feeder.
No. Stop. This is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
If the kid is transferring
right
on his own, not because of family issues or whatever, if you're leaving because of playing time or you wasn't promised a position, why am I paying for that? Because that kid is not loyal.
Okay, and that's it. Let's say the kid's a fifth string running back, right?
Right.
He's probably not worth no value.
Right.
So go ahead. He wasn't even playing for me at the low level. So if you want him at the Power 5, God bless you. What Mickey Joseph is saying, and Suave, unfortunately, I wish you had that clip. He's saying if you take my starter, I got an all SWAC player, right? That I didn't help build. The kid maybe was a 3-star athlete out of high school. You didn't want him then. I take him and I build him up to be a big time player. I understand the fact that I'm not going to win that battle because Grambling can't get the same money as LSU, right? All he's saying is, Mr. LSU, Brian Kelly, you're taking the player, you're paying him X. All I'm asking for is why. I'm not asking for the same amount you're paying the kid. Maybe you give me $200,000, $150,000. That's not hurting these big schools. But again, for a small program, if Grambling lost 3 players and they got almost $1 million, now I can go out and I can go get another player that's in the portal myself, and I can give that kid maybe $200,000. So now I can kind of recoup what I lost. Because if you just keep milking me, then what's going to happen is I'm going to dry up, and it's going to hurt your brand. Because obviously you like if that's why the transfer portal is so in vogue, because the big schools are going in and saying, hey, I don't want the kid from high school. From a basketball perspective, Rick Pitino came out and said, I'm not recruiting any high school kids because there's all these kids in the portal that are already been coached up somewhat. I'm going to take a half-baked product and then I'm going to add my sauce to it. That's all I'm saying. But those smaller schools lose. So if you tap that resource and make it completely dry, then there's nothing there left. I mean, now you got to go out and do more work. If I'm a big school, I ain't got no problem getting. If I'm taking 10 kids, I get $1 million. God bless it. Let me take it.
To that point, real quick. To that point, wouldn't it be similar to now? It would just benefit those bigger schools because it's like, all right, say Ohio State has Western Michigan as a feeder program. It would just benefit the bigger schools still because it's like I can pay.
It's already benefited
that kid.
They got the dough. So all Mickey Joseph and these small schools are saying, we know y'all got bread, so your money always gonna win. But why not just take care of us so we can stay afloat? Because if you want to take all our resource, then we got nothing left. That's all. You already killing us anyway.
Well, think about this. Think about this
like
too. But think about
this.
So think about the NCAA tournament this year. How many mid-majors went to the Sweet 16? None. And that's the first time that we haven't seen that in a long time because they've lost players who've transferred to these bigger schools. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about the transfer portal is that there's so much data and analytics that's going on right now that these bigger schools, they know from when the kid started playing as a sophomore or freshman, sophomore, how much they progressed. So they're looking at them like, okay, he went from here to here. Now he's going to fit our program. So let's go get him. And then they know that that these small schools don't have a chance to keep in some of these kids because there's so much money out there and there's people in their ears. These agents and their, the parents or whomever are saying, no, you want to come here, you're going to get the bigger bag. You have a better chance of going pro if you come here, even if you don't go pro, you're still going to have some money in your bank account, right?
That's consolation.
Right.
Eddie George is record for talking to Ohio State about Bowling Green being a feeder system.
Yeah,
had that
So
conversation.
in other words, you might as well just have the two major conferences and cut everybody else out. Okay, that's what you want. Then that's fine. But if I'm a coach and a program, and my star player, for one, he has to want to be in the portal.
Right.
Two, if another school is approaching my player, is that against the rules? Yes or no?
It is.
Or there's no rules. Okay. So
it's lawless.
Okay. So if that's the case, and as that other school, this is my personal opinion. I don't care how y'all hear about it. If you want to leave after I didn't help you get to where you want to be, get the fuck on. I don't need you here.
Even if
I don't
you
want
get
you here.
paid for it, though.
I don't. No. If you come in to play football, basketball, or whatever, apparently you wasn't good enough because you should have went there at the beginning. But if you had to come to me,
at first,
if you had to come to me, and I had to build you up, and now you want to leave, by all means, keep going. That means I can do another one.
But
go ahead.
But the thing is, though, OG, you have to look at it this way too. If when you're a mid-major and you start losing players, okay, then that means number one, your job is in jeopardy. Okay, but number two, it's going to be harder for you to recruit kids to come there because they look at the whole picture. They look at like, okay, so you went from 10-2 to now you're 5-5 or whatever it is. It's going to be harder for you to recruit.
Okay.
But
now the rebuttal to that. The rebuttal to that.
Hang on. I'm not finished yet. But also too, you have to remember too, is that these schools, so some of these mid majors. So I'll use San Jose State for instance. Okay. Mm-hmm. San Jose State, the year that I was there, we got paid $2.5 million to go play Alabama, and there is no way in the hell we're going to beat Alabama. And we got the shit kicked out of us. But that's what they do. They entice you with money. So how come you cannot just give them a couple $100,000 if you're taking a top player? To keep the program afloat. That's all I'm saying.
If I'm the coach, my main priority is coaching. Mm-hmm. I can't worry about money. That's the school. Wait. Hold on. That's the school's position to pay the NIL. That's not my position to pay the NIL or to go get NIL. That's not my position as a coach. So if they can't get the money, that's not my problem. But if I'm coaching kids up and they're leaving, going to other programs, that's not going to hurt my reputation. That's going to build up my reputation.
No, it's not.
But it's going to hurt your job status, though.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. It can hurt my job status, but my reputation of building and holding up talent is not going anywhere.
But I will tell you this. For you to say that not going out to get NIL money and mid-majors is not your responsibility, yes, it is. It is.
I said as a coach.
And that's I'm not saying that as a coach, it is your responsibility because I'll tell you why. You may not want to do that. You can laugh all you want to, OG, because I've been there. The thing is that it cannot be. You may not want to do it, but you have to do it because they don't have people in positions that they can pay at these mid majors to go out and do the NILs.
You have lack of resources at that level, exactly. So the head coach is washing washing the equipment, washing the jerseys. I mean, I've seen at the big schools, you got right. Layers. You don't have that luxury at a SWAC or MEAC school.
But at the same token, all I'm saying is, regardless of the structure, if I'm a coach, my first priority is coaching these young men.
Yes,
that's number one priority.
100%. So
if I'm doing my number one job, there's nothing else I can do about 3, 4, and 5.
But sometimes you're forced that you have to do it.
I get it, but what I'm saying is, if I'm the coach and you keep poaching my number one players, either one, they was never meant to be there. They was just trying to move up in the first place. Or two, it's about the bag.
It's always about.
So if it's not about the love of the game anymore, then that's why when NIL started, that's why I said now it's a business.
Yeah.
So in other words, there's never about team anymore. It's about individuals and who can get the most bag,
But
who
to
can get
that
the most
point,
bang for their buck.
to that point, could I just be wanting to move up for a better opportunity? Because I've done all I can do here.
Right.
OG,
Okay.
I appreciate you as a coach.
Coaches at the
But
lower
now
level.
I'm about to go to St. John's and
Okay.
see what happens.
And the coach at
Okay,
the
for 1 year.
the coach at the lower levels
Yeah.
accepting this.
Okay.
They're accepting the fact that I know if this kid in a basketball reference, if this kid drops 30 a night for me, he's gone. And I know
Okay.
that. All
do
we're
that.
saying from a small school perspective, like, listen, if you're gonna, we know you're taking the player, that's fine. But whoever gets that player, acknowledge that I'm losing a resource. And all I'm saying is that refund me a little bit because you know I don't have the resources you got. You're gonna pay him $2 million. I may have gave him McDonald's coupons. Is it different?
Okay. Okay. All right.
You know, but coach, and we look at it. Coaches do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
They'll start at a JC, a mid-major, or high school, whatever it is, and their goal is to move up, right? So so how come we can't let some of these kids, look at the same thing?
Okay,
right?
I get it. But I understand we can jump back and forth, but at some point, we either have to look at the business from both sides of it, or we look from administration and owners, or from players only. We can't look at it from players only for certain situations, and then owners from other situations. We have to look at it from both sides. That's what I tried to do. That's
why I'm like, I don't think it hurts the Power 5 schools to throw a couple $. I don't think it hurts. Well, because they do that anyway. They throwing money away.
It's Power 4 now. It's Power 4.
Power 2.
The Power 2, and I get it. But at the same token, we kill kids on one instance that jump in the portal for whatever reason.
Right.
We get on coaches for leaving because they got a bigger contract. But now it's like, okay, well, if the coaches can do it, the players should be able to do it. But just because my parents did it don't mean I should be able to do it at the same time until I get to that point. That's all I'm saying. At some point, someone has to reel this in, and it has to be a reason to be in the portal. It has to be right.
It's coming. It's coming.
It has to.
No. I will tell you this. It's not going to come anytime soon. It may not come in our lifetime because, number one, because you look at media deals, okay? But number two, now that you've opened up the door for private equities to come in and buy pieces of college sports teams, now they're the ones that are going to control the narrative, and they're all about making money. So, and the NCAA, and we've talked about this before, the NCAA have shot themselves in the foot where they should have had control in this years ago.
They didn't want to pay nobody years ago, and so now they let Pandora's box happen. They could have easily took care of this, but I think we're going to have federal legislation. I don't have a problem with NIL. The issue is the transfer portal, because if you're at X school, right? Let's say we talking about you're a 2-star, and you go to McNeese State, right? Well, you know what? McNeese State, they give you like $50, $100 a week, right? And somebody else might get $100 million, whatever. But at McNeese State, you can't transfer for 3 years, so you're in because they got you at 2-star and you're there for 3 years or whatever you want to do. If they limit NIL, the transfer portal, it doesn't matter what you pay, because if you're a 5-star kid like the kid from Michigan, you're going to get the big money regardless, whatever school you go to. Right. But the problem is happening on most levels is that 2-star kid that gets coached up by a smaller school. Now he's a 4-star and he's ready to go make the bag. That hurts the small school. Like I hear what you're saying. Oh, well, if you don't want to be here, then go. That happened to Fran Brown this week. His best receiver wanted $2 million. He told him to take a walk.
Yeah.
I'm not paying you. You're not. He mentioned you're not Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. I'm not paying you $2 million. And he told him to take a walk. That kid been in school almost 5 years. So I get it. But the reality is that if you limit the transfer portal, maybe it's like they used to do, one transfer, then you don't have this issue, because you also have kids just leaving because they don't want to compete. So it's not even about money, right? Maybe they are getting a nice NIL deal, but oh wow, I want to start. I'm leaving. Well, you know what? You can't leave in this new world. We'll give you your money because the big schools get money, but
that's
you can't.
What happened to the quarterback at I mean, we talked about it, Kyle McCord.
Yeah.
When Ryan Day was like, "Look, I'm not guaranteeing you
gotta compete for the
starting
job."
spot." Yeah, and he was like, "I'm gonna go to Syracuse."
But you know what? But here's what I hope doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't go to Congress or to the Senate during this administration. Because what's going to happen with this administration is they're going to look at the schools that have the most white players, and they're going to take care of them. They're going to do what's best for them. They're not going to take care of the people of color at all.
Well, it's in litigation now. Isn't it going to Congress now?
Well, no, it's not. It's not going to Congress now. Where it's at right now is this federal
judge, right?
And I think she's doing it the right way. There's going to be a salary cap that the schools can spend on players, and that's just for inside the schools for NIL. Now the kids can go outside of NIL and get their own money.
The way it's supposed to be created,
right? And so a majority of the revenue is going to go to, we know, probably football, right? So but this judge needs. She said, I need more information on how to do this fairly. Okay. Which I think for her, that, it's great that she's doing that. But we know what's going to happen is that most of the money is going to go to football. Title IX, somebody's going to sue on part of Title IX. We know that's going to happen. But again, if it goes to Congress, if it goes federally, those people right now in Congress, in the Senate, they're not going to take care of us. Not at all. They're going to make it so that these bigger schools that have majority of the white players get more money. That's what they're going to do, because they're going to look at there and like, so, well, wait a minute, you're giving 75% of the money to, say, Michigan State or Ohio State, whatever it is. So how many people are on the team that are black? Oh, no.
But we can't do that's going to be hard to do because all the major universities are loaded with black players. So every state university, Texas, A&M, Alabama,
Kev, they're finding a way to eliminate DEI from the military. You mean to tell me they can't do that from college? They can do the same thing. They're going to try to do the same thing.
They make a very good.
They're going to do the same thing.
I like your point, Kev. Limited to one transfer. That's it.
And that's where I agree with you guys on as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because everything T you just described is going right back to what it used to be, paying underneath the table.
It was actually better Ben was paid under the table. It was less headache.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. You can put a salary cap on it all you want, and if you telling me I ain't gonna find money outside the NIL, okay, then we might as well go back to what we was doing before.
Right.
But
gotta be challenged in court too.
But here's the easier thing about this is that and we all know how collectives work inside of college sports, and a lot of these collectives don't know what the hell they're doing. They really don't. But now the way that things are with social media and the way that people want to get in business with athletes, it's easier for them to find money outside of the university now than it has been before. So.
Right.
Yeah, but still,
but now TV ads now, right? And remember, this is not everybody. This is a very select few of players, that chuck the money. But
but what I'm saying is that there is no, just like before, you was giving kids money saying that they was working at car dealerships and wasn't even showing up. So that's what I'm saying. If you talking about social media, I can pay you whatever and make up a company name and put it on social media. Exactly. And it don't exist.
Which is really
it's legal now. It's legal now. That's the
but that's what I'm saying. You're talking about a cap, and then you can find you're telling the alumni in schools, yes, you paid, this is your cap. But now you can go back to the brown envelopes and individual lockers. But that's what you're going back to.
But cap is the university collective. So, like, for instance, Colorado's getting rid of their NIL program and they're bringing it in-house. We got $20 million. We're going to set aside that. Same thing with North Carolina. That's why they got schools.
I got you.
But like, if I'm that dude and Gatorade gives me a deal, that has nothing to do with the collective. Collective money is separate from like what I can get as an individual on the open market.
Right.
So once again, I could be in the collective, own a car dealership that's not associated with the school, and still pay an individual player.
But so OG, so when it's outside, it's not called a collective on the outside. It's just straight NIL deals. Collectives are just for inside of the university that they bring in. So let's look at Stanford. Stanford doesn't offer any scholarships, but they have donors that are affiliated with certain athletes. And they give them money that way. That's the way that they pay for it.
Oh, to answer your question, you're absolutely right. If I own XG and I say, you know what, that's my boy, yeah, I'm gonna make him do some commercial with me, and they're gonna take care of me on the back end. It's always gonna be a loophole to get out this shit. No question about it.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's no matter what you do, the money side, there's always the way of getting around the money.
That's why I just believe in the transfer portal.
So. Right. That's why I said when you said the transfer portal, that ends all of that.
Right.
And you have to transfer because of specific reasons. It can't be, I'm not getting playing time.
Because the pro model, Deshaun Watson could be on the bench and still make $250 million. That don't mean he's playing. So that's where the college model is going. So it doesn't. I don't have a problem with the money part. Just limit the transfer part.
Right.
Exactly.
That's
because of who you are.
And then that ends all the stuff we was talking about earlier, because you only got one shot to move.
Right.
But also
wisely. Right.
But also too, they have to do a better job of when the transfer portal opens up. You can't have it open up during the damn season or during the NCAA tournament. You can't do that because we've seen kids who are just like, okay, our team just lost, and they're already thinking about, I'm going to the transfer portal. Coaches shouldn't even have to worry about that.
What playoffs are happening? That doesn't make sense either.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So they got to get better with that. But again, if you had the limit to just one transfer, you don't have like over 6,000 kids in a portal. Now you got maybe a couple of hundreds instead of a couple of thousand. So again, go back to that. When you was a senior, you graduated, you can grad transfer, you graduate at certain obligations at the university. Or you get one, within your 4, you get one transfer where you can play right away. Or they go back to the old school way where if you transferred when you wasn't, freshman, sophomore, junior, you got to sit out a year.
Well, or also too, let's say that you can do one transfer, but let's say that there's special situations where it's an emergency transfer, whether it's a family member, something like that.
Of course. That's
other than that. But I agree with you guys. I think the transfer portal it's like you open up the black hole, right? And people are just like, I'm jumping in, I'm going.
It's going to a school in January and then transferring in April and spring, and you didn't even play a game yet. Like, what are we doing? What's the kid Haggerty that was at Memphis? The basketball player. He went from Tulsa. He goes to Memphis for 1 year. Now he's leaving again. Like, really? What are we? It's what they're doing. They're killing this. They're killing college sports. College basketball is almost irrelevant just for March. They're killing college football, and eventually that dollar. We are all men. We have responsibilities and families. That visual dollar. I just go watch the NFL on Sunday. I ain't got time because I can't keep up with these guys anyway. And that's what I'm scared will happen. A college football fan like myself. Eventually, people gonna be like, you know what? I'm just done. The NIL, this Nico stuff, it's going to wear people out, and that's what's going to start to happen. It's going to kill the sport.
Well, but also too, and I mentioned this before, and I'm still waiting. This is going to happen. That when it comes to women's college basketball, somebody's going to sue because you can't enter. If you're a college basketball player for women's basketball, you can't enter the WNBA unless you're 22 or you're going to turn 22 that year. Right. But if you're playing overseas, if you're a foreign player, you can enter the WNBA draft when you're 20 years old.
Right. But the only issue with that, T, is that, and which is a weird issue, they making more money on the college hardwood than they are in the WNBA.
But again, it's about an equity, because even with some of these college players that are coming out right now. They already have sponsorships deals set up,
right?
They're like, hey, you know what? When you go to the WNBA, where you're going to get more bonuses, okay? But again, it's on the equity level.
But
that how come a man can go and play for 1 year and then go to the NBA draft, but a woman has to wait till she's 22?
I don't think that would be a problem going to court and getting that. But if I'm making $2 million and you want to give me $85,000, I'll stay right where I'm at because I can still get those off the court deals, like Olivia Miles and the girl Betts from UCLA. They went back to school. They could have left.
But the thing is, how about just give them the option whether they can stay or go? That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I'm sure if somebody said, you know what, I'm flunking out of school, I'm tired of going to class, I'm sure somebody and they would win that hand. It would be ain't nobody gonna fight that. But when I'm making more money staying in college, and I can still do all that off the court stuff, why would I leave?
Not going nowhere.
But again, give at least give them the option whether they can go or not, right?
I think if a young lady really wanted to do that and press that, I don't think it would be out of court in 2 seconds because
100%.
You can't fight that.
100%.
But why would I leave the university of such and such that's paying me 7 figures and I'm getting paid 5 figures as a WNBA rookie?
But again, so think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Think about if you had a player, and I'm trying to think of whom. Let's say Aaliyah Boston. Okay. She, and maybe she's a bad example. So let's look at Olivia Miles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She probably would have been the number 2 pick last year.
Would have been number 2 pick, correct?
Okay, last year, but she couldn't enter the draft because of her age.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's other players because we know that sometimes the WNBA draft is not as strong as the NBA, but also too there's limited spots.
Right.
So again, if you're all of a sudden if you're not eligible for a draft and you could have gone when there's a weaker class, and there's like, okay, you can't go. Right. But now you have to wait another year, and that class that you're going into is stronger, and it drops your draft status.
But we live in a capitalist society. Her NIL value is about $800,000. She would have been making $95,000, the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft.
But again, if she wants that option where she wants to go into the NBA draft or the WNBA draft, and and some certain companies are like, okay, guess what? If you're this pick, we're going to give you more money.
But those companies can do that anyway right now. That's what I'm saying. Where's the incentive? It's got to be an incentive.
But what I'm saying though is give them the option. Give them the option if they want to leave or not. That's all I'm saying.
But if the option is leave or not, and I'm making more money in college, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going nowhere.
The option,
regardless of everything else, I'm not going nowhere.
Again, it's about being equal. Give them the option. If they want to stay, they can stay and make whatever money. But if they want to leave for whatever reason, let them go. Give them that option.
I think if they challenge that, it would be.
In
10 seconds, maybe less. I get that, but normally in most cases in this capitalist society we live in, I only go for those options because they're going to be more valuable. I'm losing. It's not even losing. I'm losing a ton of money going early. And we've seen that. We've seen that with Betts. We've seen that with Olivia, and we're going to probably see that with Juju. She's probably going to stay an additional year at USC because I can make all that off the court money right here in LA, going to school probably online. They probably even walking into a classroom, and I can still make more money on the court and diversify my portfolio. Angel Reese brought a soccer team or part in a soccer team while in college. You see what Flajay is doing, building houses.
But
you can't do that on WNBA salary.
But again, give them the option. And the only reason why that Lauren Betts stayed is because her sister's coming in. That's the only reason why.
But she's also getting also have a $1.1 million.
But again, all I'm saying is give them the option. You can talk money all you want to. It's about, in my opinion, and the business that I'm in, it's about equality.
I respect that.
That's all I'm saying. Because again, you may listen to me real quick. You may have somebody who's not going to go in the first round, like with this draft, but could have gone in the first round last year.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to go, at least give them that option. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you. If a young lady said, you know what, I'm just tired of getting up for 8 a.m. biology class, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Schedule a 10:30 biology class.
But sometimes it's not the option. Sometimes that's not the option. But nowadays you think that shit online too. It's like
if they wanted to do that, that option would be given to them in a.
That's all I'm saying. Just give them the option. That's
but
all.
doesn't it?
And I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but also with that option, the men's game has suffered. The one and done has killed the men's game
on both sides. Yeah.
So I get it, but at the end of the day, you know, the NBA should have left the rule in place. You can't leave early either.
And
but that's what I'm saying. You want to make changes. Sometimes change ain't good.
And think about this, fellas. For nobody to ever try to go against that says volumes to me, especially now in this NIL era. Wow. Ain't nobody rushing to leave school. Wow. That would say something to me like, wow, like nobody's even trying to get out of here quick. You know, that says a lot.
You know what? You know why nobody has challenged it? Because they're telling them, like, go ahead and challenge it if you want to. Your stock is going to do this because there's only so many teams. There's only so many slots. Again, to me, it's just another form of oppression. That's all it is. That's all it is. Because we know who runs the WNBA. It's the NBA.
The big boys, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, with that being said, great show, fellas. For myself, 950 Kev, T Jones, OG. We will see you all after the draft. Yes, after the draft.
Happy holiday, OG.
Happy Easter.
What you say?
Happy holiday to you.
Oh, what you got going today?
Here's some homework for you guys. Okay, in our group chat on IG, I want you to find the best Easter 420 meme and put it in the group chat. I want to see that shit.
I'll be sending them all day. If that's the case, get ready,
dude.
What you doing today? What you got going today?
Eating and getting high.
OG, you ought to thank me right now because yesterday somebody put out a whole collage of nothing but Sade, and I almost sent it to you and Taya. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave it alone.
You know what? I'm not. We'll discuss off the air because I am mad at you now. I am really pissed at you, and I will tell you once we get off.
All right, y'all. We'll holler at y'all next week.